What's going on, team? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the building of consciousness and energy. Now, this video is really going to be big picture thinking, and the reason why I love the topic of consciousness and energy so much is because it really forms the fabric of our universe. And when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture in life and the universe at large and how everything works and the laws in which the universe operates by, well, that allows us to then understand all the micro details of life itself, right? You know, to learn a small, meticulous detail of something, you first have to zoom out and understand the whole, the big picture, from a generalist perspective, before you actually start taking a specialist approach in zooming into the strategy and tactics or the micro details of anything in life. So I truly believe this stuff has the power to transform your life more than anything else, which is why I'm pretty fired up to discuss this topic today. So let's start here. Now, if you've watched my videos, you would notice that I talk about consciousness and energy quite a lot, right? But I wanted to present the topic of consciousness to you through a unique lens, like a simple diagram that I've drawn up here. And what we're going to be talking about today is really like the dimensions of consciousness and how we can use this understanding and apply it into our own life to really achieve and succeed and get anything that we want in our own personal life, okay? Whether it be in business, personal, relationships, even your own spiritual growth and development too. So over here on the board, we've got the 12 layers or levels of consciousness, right? Now, I want you to picture in your mind's eye, and actually, disclaimer before we move forward, these are my personal views, and I want you, when listening to any of this stuff, to really just go within yourself and you decide what you want to take away from this video, and you decide what you want to take away entirely out of this stuff, right? I'm not trying to influence you or really transfer my beliefs onto you or convince you of anything. I'm just sharing what I know to be true for me, and you can take it or leave it as you see fit. So here's the 12 levels of consciousness, and I want you to view these like as if you're in a building, right? So the universe is made up, our universe specifically, is made up of 12 dimensions. And at every level, there's new things to learn. There's more things to adapt to. There's more things to master, right? And when we're at a lower level of consciousness or intelligence, well, we kind of don't know what we don't know, yeah? So the whole purpose of this diagram is to show you and illustrate that point. Now, if there's 12 dimensions within our universe, we're pretty familiar with the third dimension, right? 3D, which is where Earth resides. And that's the environment that we've all grown up in this specific incarnation that we all find ourselves in, right? So this, where Earth is, the third dimension right here, I like to call that kind of the matrix, right? Because when we're born, we're conditioned and we form our beliefs, paradigms, perceptions, and thoughts dependent on our upbringing, in what our parents believed, in what our social circles believed, the type of education that we received, and from our teachers, peers, parents, and all that sort of stuff, right? And our social constructs. So when we are brought up in that environment, we are conditioned by matrix programming, which has us believe a certain way, or has us form our thoughts and opinions and deeply held beliefs from a certain perspective or viewpoint and lens in which we personally see the world. So what I'm trying to do here today is just give you not to say I'm giving you a bigger perspective, because I think that you are powerful in your own right and you know a lot of shit, but maybe you're just going to receive something from this video, yeah? So when we look at the third dimension, you can really see and look out in the world that this third dimensional reality is built off a lot of limitation and lack, right? That's what our human game is all about. We agree to come into this earth experience. We are brought up since childhood, and we start to really think that we are, from personal experience, this is what I believed anyway, I felt that we were quite limited in who we are, and really you see lack everywhere, right? Like there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of hunger, there are a lot of people struggling in this earth experience, in this world. And that is because of our initial programming and our level of collective consciousness. However, as a collective, as we rise up, as we absorb more information, as we absorb and download more intelligence from the higher levels of consciousness, which is always streaming downward, then we can continue to evolve as a species. And that's why enhancing our collective consciousness, because everything, everything is energy in our reality, and my energy influences your energy, and so on and so on. Like this plant beside me influences my energy, and I influence its energy, because everything is absolutely quantumly entangled in our reality and in our experience in this universe. So what happens as we all start to increase our level of intelligence or consciousness, we as a collective are able to start transcending the matrix and able to start getting a bigger and larger perspective over the experience that we've found ourselves in up until now. Now, at the very top of this building of consciousness is the one infinite creator. And some of you might have a different perception of what that is. Many will perceive this as like God, which is totally fine, but God is a creator, right? Others will perceive this as like source, the divine. You might, if you're very scientific and don't believe in God, you might view it as a random act or occurrence called the Big Bang Theory. But whatever it is, it's a source of creation, right? In which all life and intelligence was created from. And I've been thinking about this more and more over the last, honestly, a year, because me and my partner Jenny just gave birth to our first child 4 days ago. So I've been thinking a lot about creation and how amazing the creative process is, right? And think about this, our entire universe was created essentially from nothing, literally a seed. And the same is true for us as humans. My baby daughter was created from this chemical reaction or explosion, this cosmic explosion that happened, and her entire human body, brain, organs, all of her parts was then formed and developed over time from that initial instant of creation. And it's fascinating that she is also, and like you are, we all are, we are innately built with a design that allows us to then go and create more things as a natural byproduct of just being human. As a human, you're able to create more humans. Just go and think of how crazy that is. Just by your design. You don't even have to think about it. You just have to do, right? And it's pretty simple. So when we look at this creation within our universe, the one infinite creator is residing up there at the very top, right? They, it, the being, the consciousness that created everything is within all of us. And the dimensions below it are essentially basically residing at a certain frequency, because your energetic vibrational frequency will determine the level of consciousness in which you reside. The higher your energetic vibration, in other words, the greater your capacity to hold and store more information or consciousness, that will determine what dimension you as a unique being reside within. The reason why this is important is because this is going to give you a perspective and maybe ease your frustration when you look out into the world and when you start to see a lot of problems out there in society, when you start to get kind of triggered or frustrated from other people's limiting perceptions and views of maybe what's going on in the world right now or life in general. I know I've been through that process myself, but this really helped me. So say that if you're watching me here on this channel, you're probably above the matrix, I would say, above matrix programming. Because people in classic matrix programming still, in a dense third dimensional reality or vibration, they would get too triggered by everything I talk about. But you're hopefully not, and if you are getting triggered, that's great, because then it's bringing up something within you that you can work through, right? So here, the reason why I love this building is because it will show you how consciousness determines your quality of life. So say that, we all basically being born into this, in the time frame that we were born into with the current evolution of our planet, we all were brought up in this, right? So imagine us all as like Neo in the Matrix, where we awaken in a reality and nothing really makes sense, right? Then we reach like a tipping point or a threshold where, you know, this is kind of just bliss ignorance, yeah? Life is much easier here when we don't know anything, we don't know what's going on. We're just in our little bubble, walking and living through life. But as we start to question like, hey, why am I here? Who am I? What's my purpose in life? There must be something more to this reality than what I've been programmed or taught to believe. Once you start doing that, because your awareness, you're basically now sending a signal out into the universe that you are ready to receive those answers, more information. So you will come across content, you will receive energetic upgrades that will start to enhance your level of vibration, that will then allow you to graduate to a new level, that will then allow you to receive higher intelligence, more information, because you're ready to store it, you're ready to hold it. Because like attracts like, essentially, energetically, okay? So when you are residing at a frequency, you will attract information that corresponds to that frequency. It's kind of like when you're in your car. I don't listen to like the radio anymore, but when I used to, you know, you'd be dialed into a certain radio station, like 96.3 FM. And that would allow you to receive a broadcasted signal that was vibrating at 96.3 FM, and you'd receive the tune for that song. But, you know, like information and intelligence, if you want to receive information at a higher bandwidth, but you're still vibrating at a lower frequency, well, you're either not even going to attract the higher vibrational information, or if you do and you come across it, your ego will dismiss it and you won't even like interpret it, right? Because you're not ready to receive that information into your mind, body, spirit complex. So as your energy increases, so does the quality of information that you are able to receive and process within your mind, body, spirit complex. Now, as we start doing that, when we then start to look down back here at people in the third dimension of reality, still stuck in the matrix, I know from personal experience, I got really frustrated. I was like, holy shit, we need to shout at everyone and wake everyone up, and this is crazy, and yada, yada, yada. And you want to like basically try and convince everyone else that this is reality and we've all been programmed and mentally controlled and we all need to wake up ASAP, which is great. It's a phase of your evolution, but really the goal is to continue mastering ourselves within, so we can enhance our internal energetic vibration while we accept everyone and everything that is still residing at a lower frequency. The reason why this can be such a crazy thing to understand is because, say you're here on the third level of this building, right? Well, basically what happens is, at every level, it's almost like there's a block in transmission. There's like a concrete slab that's preventing any information or communication or noise to come down through the concrete slab and for you to receive into your hearing, right? So if you're at the third level, then if you're trying to if you're just going about your day and someone here in the fourth dimension of consciousness is trying to communicate down to you, well, you're just not ready to receive. And that's basically the way it goes. The way you can interpret this visually is like this. So say that you're here, or I'm not saying you, right? Say that somebody is here on the third level and you're up here at level 4 and you're like, hey, wow, look at this amazing tree branch. I see a total of 3 tree branches and a little bird here. Like I can see behind the tree branch and I can understand that there's a bird residing here on the tree. But then the person still stuck in the matrix is like, you're a fuckwit. I only see 1 tree branch that's right in front of my eyes because this tree branch up here is out of their line of sight, right? And they're not going to have the ability to possibly understand that, hey, maybe there's something more than what I can currently see. You know, I need to see it to believe it. That's really the classic story of modern science right now, right? But we're venturing into advanced quantum physics and things like this, where people are starting to open up their minds into the unseen realms, which really makes up the majority of our universe. So people in the Matrix are like going to basically go back and forth and argue with you that they can only see one tree branch and therefore there is only one. But you, with a higher level of intelligence, can be like, either go back and argue with them, or you can just be like, all right, I accept your views, but I internally know that there are 3, or like 2 tree branches with another bush on top. Someone at a higher level of consciousness, say like the 5th, is going to be like, well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, there's actually another one on the back side of the tree which you can't see because now my 3rd eye is activated and I can see that and I understand that side of reality. But then people down here might be like, all right, show me the proof of that. But you're there going, well, I can't show you the proof because it's accessible within and there's no scientific tool or machine that can show you and prove to you that this reality exists. But you're confident in yourself because you understand it does, right? And then the creator at the top, at a higher level of intelligence, is going to be like, oh dear me, like, okay, I accept all of you because all of you are my creation, but I understand the tree is whole, and I also understand intimately the blueprint of the design because I designed it, right? So then what happens is, what the whole story behind this is basically that we are constantly evolving here on Earth, and we are transcending and climbing the ladders of consciousness. And at every level, there's a new perspective, there's another paradigm, and no one perspective or paradigm is absolute truth, right? Because we, as individual souls, expressing ourselves as humans here in this Earth reality, are really just one aperture in which the universe is looking at itself. Because me here as a human being, I've had my lifetimes of experiences, which has then allowed me to accumulate certain levels of knowledge and understanding and a degree of wisdom in my perception of our reality and myself and our collective, right? But you have different experiences and different paradigms and different perspectives in which the way you view the world. But all of our perspectives and paradigms and experiences adds to the collective intelligence of the whole. And through our experience, the creator is able to learn more about our expressions, about our reality, because we're all like kind of on missions, right? We're going in and experiencing different lifetimes with different situations, different circumstances, to try and accumulate and acquire more intelligence. Because with every experience comes a lesson that we can learn from, right? So the more experiences, the more lessons. The more we learn, the more we evolve and rise in our energetic frequency and our consciousness. So let's move over to this other diagram now, which is a representation of the greater, basically the same thing, but a greater process. So here at the 12th dimension, the one infinite creator or God, however you want to determine what that is for you, that is basically the same thing as the great central sun. The central sun from which our entire universe was created from. Now, everyone listening here, you would absolutely know that the sun emits energy, right? In other words, the sun is emitting a stream of light. So consider this a stream of light, which is basically also known as like consciousness, intelligence, information, which is transmitted via energy. So hence the universe, everything is energy, right? And the energetic frequency from which something resides is what is then created. And from the great central sun, many people would maybe view this as like the explosion, the Big Bang, but the central sun is where it all comes from. That then streams life and intelligence and light and information into everything. And as that transmits and sends information into everything, that allows every system within our universe to evolve and grow and expand and run by divine design. So the next layer down, the next fractal or fragment that is spiraling out, the next layer might be considered, or it is considered, a galaxy, right? So then many galaxies are created, trillions of them within our universe. Within our galaxy alone, there are trillions of planets, right? But within the next fractal, as these trillions of fractals span out, we find ourselves here on the planet called Mother Gaia or Earth. Then within our Milky Way, there's other planets, but we're going to focus on the Earth school right now. When Earth is created, we then are merely fractals of Earth as well, because we are humans. We are like, as humans, the billions of us that reside here on planet Earth, and the animals, the plant life, we all form a collective intelligence for Mother Gaia, right? We are like the cells of Mother Gaia. Like your trillions of cells in your body form the functions and intelligence and energy and consciousness of you as a human being in your physical body, we act in the same way for Earth, which is like fascinating, right? And then what happens is we as human beings hold information or intelligence within us through our DNA, which is the most advanced, which is infinitely more advanced than any computer system that any human has created, right? And it can store infinitely more, it can store infinite intelligence in it. So what happens is the great central sun, or the infinite creator in the 12th dimension, is basically a consistent transmitter of energy and light or consciousness through the layers or dimensions of consciousness, which then travels through the galaxies, through the solar systems, through the planet, and into every microorganism living within the planet as well. So let's focus on us for a second as human beings. If we know that, all right, well, for us to grow, and if you want to question this, for example, take away the sun away from our planet and see what happens. See how quickly everything dies, right? Light gives life, gives energy. We need energy and light to survive. In other words, we need a stream of consciousness that is enabling our biological processes to continuously allow us to live and energize us, that fuels our physical vehicles to live effectively. And if you really just want to test that experiment, go lock yourself in a dark room for a month and see how healthy you feel, right? You're not going to feel too crash hot. You're also going to look like shit. So light is life, okay? Now, when we understand that, and when we understand that our DNA is the carrier of all of this information, our DNA is infused in every cell within our body, right? Our DNA is enmeshed everywhere within us. Our DNA, our genetic structure, carries information and allows us to access, basically it runs the function of our body, but it also allows us to, when activated, access abilities within inside of ourselves that have been genetically encoded into us from its design, right, as human beings. So right now at this time, if you want to understand like how do you enhance your level of consciousness, how do you enhance your level of energy so you can create anything you want? Because remember, make sure to connect these dots. The greater your level of consciousness in life and energy, the greater your creative ability. And the greater your creative ability, the more able you are to design, create, and do whatever you want. Because everything in your life is a creation. Because in every moment, you are creating your reality. Whether you like it or not, you're creating the reality that you don't want, as well as the one that you do. So you get what you focus on. So if your thoughts and your emotions are very negative, and you're consistently reinforcing those patterns, you're probably residing at a lower level of consciousness. And when you're residing at a lower level of consciousness, you don't have much energy. You don't have much creative life force that's able to flow through you. Therefore, you create what you perceive as a pretty shitty reality. But if you want to enhance your life, if you want to achieve everything that you want, if you want to live a life of where you're feeling alive, joyous, abundant, happy, and fulfilled, well, the way to do that is to go within and to basically access or activate greater consciousness within you to upgrade your energetic vibrational frequency. In other words, activate greater percentage of your DNA, the intelligence within you, the God source creator within you, to then basically form a reality that you desire, okay, through your intention. Now, right now, as human beings, it's a fascinating story because we, as the modern human right now, we've only really accessed about 30% of our DNA, which means 70% of it is laying dormant within us, not active. Now, if we are this highly intelligent and advanced, there's many more beings in the universe that are way more advanced than us, right? But I'm giving us credit, like we are fucking badass. The human being is a multidimensional being that has great capabilities, but our human collective is yet to realize what those capabilities are, and the secret lies within us being able to enhance our level of consciousness and energy to activate more of our dormant laying DNA, to activate our spiritual gifts and tools that will then allow us as a human species and race to create a better future for all of us. And if you don't really care about that right now, that's cool, but maybe you can apply some of this to, create the reality that you want in your own life and for those around you, right? So the way to then do that is that all thoughts hold a frequency. All emotions hold a frequency too, because emotions is simply energy in motion. And emotion is just an energy traveling through us. And depending on how dense or light our body is, depending on what we've yet to resolve, if we're still holding on to like trauma, within our bodily complex, because our body is a sponge for emotions, right? So our body holds on to energy. And if we experience a trauma, or if we are still feeling, feelings of like anger, hatred, violence, guilt, shame within us, then that's going to make our physical vehicle quite dense, okay? Because those emotions reside at a very low frequency that are very, not good or bad, they're just dense, okay? They're at a low frequency. So if we want to start transforming our life, and if we want to start becoming the creator of our reality, just merely having the seed planted of consciousness and the interactions of consciousness and energy, that's already going to enhance your vibration. But if you want to go to the next step, what you can do is start controlling your thoughts. So next time you identify a negative or limiting or disempowering thought that enters your mind in any form, all you can do is you can just start to sit back as the observer, right? So you can say to yourself, I am not my thoughts. This may not be my thought that's coming in, because if it's a negative one, it's most likely not actually yours, okay? Because by default, you are a divine being. You are a magical high vibrational being. You just need to remember that, okay? And when you start to realize that most of the negative thoughts in your life aren't yours, and that you can merely just observe them and let them flow through you and not attach to them, you're already winning. The next thing you can do is start to invert those negative thoughts and start to create empowering thoughts for yourself that help you acknowledge that you are abundant, that you are a creator, that you are creating your reality with your thoughts in every now moment. That will then, and that you are infinitely powerful. Once you get out of victimhood mentality and into a creator mentality, where you realize that you're creating your reality all the time, in every moment. Right now, you're creating your reality, okay? You, depending on your thoughts and vibrational frequency right now, you're going to be feeling a certain way with how I'm talking to you on camera. It's either going to be making you feel very dense and skeptical and wound up, right? And judgmental. Or if you're kind of light and you're going with the flow and you're opening yourself up, this might make you feel quite empowered and powerful within inside yourself, because you're realizing how infinitely capable that you truly are. So then you can start to pair the thoughts the positive empowering thoughts with positive empowering emotions of things like love. So a key to understand in really summarizing all of this is that If you're currently experiencing negative or there is no negative, but if you're experiencing dense emotions, things like fear, overwhelm, stress, well, what that's doing, it's making you dense. It's making you perceive reality in a certain light, in a dense light. It seems very dark. But when you start to identify those things in your life, those triggers, the reasons why you're feeling negative or down, depressed, maybe ashamed, guilty, when you start to release those things, because there is no good or bad, we experience everything in life to merely learn. And if you've done some fucked up shit in the past that you're not proud of, well, it's time to let it go, right? It's time to just let that thing go. If you're feeling fearful of doing something in your life right now, well, just recognize and realize that fear is merely a limitation. It's a limiting belief, because the truth of the reality is that you're infinitely powerful and creative, and you can resolve and create any reality that you desire. But if you're approaching life through the lens of fear, you're going to contract, you're going to be small, you're going to be dense. You're not going to be able to access higher intelligence, because you yourself are making yourself dense and you're cutting yourself off from creative energy. So the way to overcome those things is to first identify what's making you feel that way. Then address that issue, okay? Face it head on and move into it. Be willing to go there. Then once you've addressed the underlying root cause and you're uprooting it and integrating it, then what you can do is start really tapping into the power of your heart. You can start tapping into the power of gratitude and love, which hold the highest vibrational frequency. And when you do that, you become more light, you become more expansive. You tune up and increase your vibrational frequency that enables you to receive the answers that you're seeking, because now you're residing at a frequency that matches the quality of those answers, right? So if you guys would like to learn more about this stuff, I could talk about this stuff for days. So if you'd like to learn more, and if you'd like to learn more advanced strategies for enhancing your energetic vibration, expanding your consciousness, receiving higher guidance, and being able to upgrade your life and integrate all aspects of life into one, then let me know in the comments. Like, let's join the discussion. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see what you took away from this video. I'd love to hear about your perspective as well, because that obviously means the world to me. I'd like to create more of a community here on YouTube with you all, for those who are tuning in and listening. So if you do have any requests as well on this content or something else that you'd like to hear from me, then let me know in the comments. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.